Before the week begins, we pause with purpose. We don't just hope for a better week, we plan for one. The sun is rising, my dreams are calling, coffee in my cup and my purpose is talking. I open my planner, I breathe and believe this week has blessings waiting on me. No more rushing, no more delay. I'm taking my power back today with every goal and every line. I'm building my business one block at a time. I don't move by pressure, I move by design. I don't waste my moments, I honor my time. My vision is clear, my focus is strong. This is the week I've been waiting on. I am the architect of my time. With every hour I build my dreams. My plans have purpose, my schedule has power. I'm crafting my life one brilliant hour. One line decision, one bold move, one faithful step. I got something to prove. I rise, I plan, I build, I shine. Plansational Sunday. This week is mine. I'm not just busy, I'm moving with grace, making room for profit, peace and space. My business is growing, my mindset is new. I'm showing up for what I'm called to do. Emails, content, clients and sales. I've got a plan so I cannot fail. Even when life tries to pull me away, I come back to purpose and plan my day. Pressure, I move by design. I don't waste my moments, I honor my time. My vision is clear, my focus is strong. This is the week I've been waiting on. I am the architect of my time. Every hour I build my dream. My plans have purpose, my schedule has power. I'm crafting my life one brilliant hour. One decision, one bold move, one faithful step. I got something to prove. I rise, I plan, I build, I shine. Plansational Sunday. This week is mine. What are we doing this week? Moving wealth in this week. Moving with power. What are we building this week? Dreams into income. One decision, one bold move. My dream hour. One brilliant hour. My plans have purpose. My schedule has power. I craft my life. One brilliant hour. My time is alive. My dream is alive. This week I rise. This week I thrive. I am the architect of my time. Every hour I build my dream. My plans have purpose, my schedule has power. I'm crafting my life one brilliant hour. One line decision, one bold move, one faithful step. I got something to prove. I rise, I plan, I build, I shine. Plansational Sunday. This week it works. So grab your planner, grab your vision, grab your coffee, and let's plan with purpose. This is Plansational Sunday. And this week, we build.
Good morning, and happy Plansational Sunday. I want to thank you guys so much for being live with me here today. So let me go ahead and get my comments up. If you are live here with me today, I want you to use the hashtag live. All right, let's go ahead and get the comments up. All right. Good morning. If you are live here with me, go ahead in the comments and put hashtag live. And if you're watching this on replay because it's Sunday and you're like, I'm not getting out of bed until like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I want you in the comments to go hashtag replay just to know that I just want to know you were here and this message reached you and that it is marinating in your heart and you are incorporating this into your business this week. So, guys, I have a message for my entrepreneurs out there for today. And this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes into consulting, coaching, and speaking is that if you don't live the life, it's hard for you to really explain to people, how to overcome it. So, you have people who are fitness people, dietitians, but they've never had to lose weight in their life. So it's really hard to really understand what that person has gone through. I've even had coaches and consultants that try to coach people on business ownership when the only business that they've had is the business that they're building as a coach. And so sometimes you have to live the experience in order for you to pour into people. And I want to let you guys know here at Training You to Succeed, here in our Passionpreneur community, whenever I speak to you from experience. And today is a topic that I speak from experience. And many times out there, we are solo entrepreneurs or solo CEOs. I'm gonna come up with something. Basically, passionpreneurs who are doing this thing on our own. In the comment, if you are a solo CEO, which means that you may have like one or two people supporting you, maybe not a whole full out paid 15, 10, 20 staff. Even if you have volunteers, even if you have part-time people, many times we are solo CEOs or we are the top of the company and we have to pour out so much. And as a small business CEO, solo CEO, I don't know, mid-sized team CEO, many times at the top we become drained. We become so drained because we are the one who is generating the ideas for our business. We're the ones putting all the thought and everything together. We're the ones that's losing sleep at night because we need to pour into our team or we're trying to figure out how to make things work to keep our team. And so as a solo CEO and a small business owner at the top, sometimes our cup becomes empty. And I don't know if I'm the only one out there sometimes, but sometimes our cups become empty. And when your cup becomes empty, it is so hard to pour into other people and even show up for your business. And what that can look like is you can start getting frustrated over certain things. You become stuck in one area. You start to lash out. You become angry. You become uncontent and you just begin taking things apart, trying to put things together, and it just seem like nothing is working because you're so frustrated and you have nothing left to give. How many of you have felt like that sometimes? I don't know if I'm the only one singing in this choir, but there are times where I feel like, oh my God, how am I going to keep going? How am I going to keep moving? You have to show up currently, but yet you're trying to build, but you just don't have enough strength sometimes. And then on top of that, I'm just going to be real and honest with you guys. Not only do we have businesses, but we have friends and family that are constantly pulling on us and we have to pour into them. We have to give to them outside of the business structure. But then we are called to do this amazing thing as a business and we don't have enough to show up for it. Why? Because everything has sucked us dry and pull the life out of us. And yet we do it with a smile. We do it with grace. And you're like, no, but those are my kids. I'm supposed to, that's my friend. I'm supposed to, that's my business. I'm supposed to be able to give. But at some point you have to tap into a source that can refill you. Because if you do not refuel yourself, if you don't start to level up and fill up that cup and you keep giving from an empty cup, sooner or later, you're going to give up on your business, want to walk away. You're not going to be able to show up in your full capacity for your families and friends, all because you're drained. and you didn't tap into something that can give you more life and more energy. And what I find, you got to be careful of the source too, because sometimes we tap into sources that gives us contaminated water. We tap into sources that don't pump us up and fuel us up. They drain us, they pull us down, and then we wonder why we can't go live. We wonder why we can't do a post on social media. We wonder why we can't make that video. We wonder why we can't push and stretch ourselves to the very, because we have contaminated water inside of us. Sometimes TikTok is not the answer. Sometimes YouTube is not the answer. Sometimes you got to tap into a source that knows and understands what you're going through so that they know how to feel you properly. So today I am going to give you guys some tips on resetting your week, because guys, last week, I would say the last 3 weeks has been one of those 3 weeks where, oh my goodness, time was going by so fast. We had so many projects that we had to complete across all of our businesses. And this past 2 weeks, I have seen all of our businesses been going, 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 going. But as the puppeteer of those, my energy starts to drain. And so I speak from experience when I tell you, if you don't tap into something to help energize and fuel you up, then you won't be able to keep going. So, number one, you have to understand, as the CEO of your business, solo team, small team, you have to manage your energy totally different than other people. Okay? You can't let everybody hook up to your IV. You can't let everybody be attached to you and drain you. You have to manage that thing a little bit differently. You cannot operate whenever you are pouring so much into people that you don't reserve enough for yourself. Your planning has to include that. It has to include understanding what your capacity is, understanding just how much energy you actually have to give, actually understanding your emotions and real life situation. So when you divvy that thing up, it has to flow properly. You're the main person doing the work. So you have to watch. This is why I have separate phone lines. This is why I have hours where I answer and I don't answer texts, because I have to manage my energy to be able to show up even for you on Plansational Sunday. I can't give it all away. I have to manage it in a way in my plans to say, hey, this is what I am capable and able to do. This is what my energy, this is my max energy level. This is how much I can give, because I can't give it all. And some of you are out there mismanaging your energy. That's why you're drained, you're tired, and you believe that you can't work a full-time funding source and do a business on the side. Where are you placing your energy at? Who are you giving it to? Some of you believe, even as an entrepreneur, when you do this thing full time, oh no, I don't have enough. I can't keep going. I can't keep pouring into my business. And it's because you are mismanaging your energy. And we have to plan for that each and every week. Understanding number two. So that's number one. Understand that there is only you sometimes, and you have to manage your energy totally different. And I'm going to get back on that, because that's the soapbox that I have to get on, because I hear so many people say, you know what, I can't do it because I'm too tired. What are you doing with your energy? And if you say, oh my God, I never had energy from the very beginning because I'm so drained, then I'm going to talk about that at the end as well. So understanding that refilling your cup is not wasting your time. So I know my CEOs that are out there, you are go-getters, you are hustlers, you are the true and real thing. You're the truth. All right. And so what starts to happen is we start to believe ourselves that when we pause and reflect that we're wasting time. If you do not pause, reflect, organize, strategize, reset yourself, you can get disorganized, you can get distracted, and you can feel like you are being ping-ponged all over the place. There are parts of you that has to pause and sit down and refuel ourselves in order for us to keep going. A full cup allows you to make good decisions. And many of us are making not so good decisions in our business. Sometimes we're scrolling late at night doing the doom scroll on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see something, we'll see a promise, and because we're so empty, we'll pull out that credit card and we'll just purchase it because we're just so tired. And then we don't even have time to even implement and use it. And therefore, we are still not refueled because we did not take the time to pause and ask ourselves, what is it that I really need? Or do I need anything? Or do I need to just rest? Building rest into your schedule is so important. People ask me all the time, like, oh my God, how do you have so much energy? When do you sleep? When I sleep. When you don't see me, I'm sleeping. When you don't see me, I'm working too. But I get my rest. And I know how important that is in refilling my cup. And I used to think that, oh my God, I'm taking a nap, I'm sleeping, this is going on. Oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. But yeah, I could be doing it, but I would only be able to give 40% or 50% or 60% because I'm drained and tired and I can't keep going. But if I slow down and recharge, hook myself up to that battery pack, take that nap, take a rest, take a breather. I talk about solopreneur days, getting your hotel, getting your mind together, going to sit in the hotel lobby or a coffee shop and getting away from everything and just refueling yourself. Refilling your cup and understanding that that refill time is just as important as your execution time. The refill time is just as important as the execution time. You know, I travel a lot and I go out of town. But if I take my baby Bug and I fill it up with gas and I keep going and going and going and going and going and going, sooner or later that gas gauge is going to start to wear down. Yes, I have to get to my destination. Yes, I have to speak. Yes, I have to be there for my audience. But if I don't stop to refill that car, I'm not going to make it there. I'm going to run out of gas. So planning to pull over in my time to refuel that Bug back up so that I can make it to where I need to make on time is just as important as actually arriving there. Why? Because without the refill, I can't get there. I will be stuck on the side of the road. And right now in your business, you may be stuck on the side of the road. You may be stuck there, and that can look like not bringing in any income, not bringing in any new customers, not generating new ideas that are actually sticking and working with people. It could look like you just don't feel like doing what you know you need to do. It could look like not showing up for your business, not showing up for your people, hiding. Why? Because you have ran out of gas. And now you cannot arrive to the big thing because you failed to fill up. Now, I'm a girl that likes to run it pretty close. And what I mean by that, I will run that down until it's that much gas in there. But I'm going to stop and refill because I don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. And I know sometimes I stretch myself, so thin, almost about to pop, but then I give in on that rubber band. I give in on it. And it starts to come back together. My gas gauge starts to go low, but then I start to refuel myself. Refilling is not a waste of your time. It is actually going to allow you to arrive bigger and better than you ever have before. Okay? Then you have to really ask yourself, who, what, when, where is actually draining you in the last couple of weeks. We know who they are and we need to let it go. What made you feel heavy last week? What kept you from pushing on? What kept getting pushed back over and over and over and over? What took more energy than you expected? Have you ever said, okay, I'm going to work on this one thing for a few hours, and you end up working on it all day, and you look at the time and you started at 10 o'clock in the morning, before you know it, it's 5 o'clock? What took more energy than expected? What conversations, things on your to-do list, tasks, or decisions is still sitting on you this week because you didn't do it last week? What is it? And I want you guys to take a minute. I want you to take a moment and really reflect on those things. And I'm going to take them and I am going to put them in the chat, because I want you guys to really take these questions and I want you to really ask yourself, what is really draining you? What is taking more than what you expected? And this is where it goes back to number one, managing your energy. Because if you know what it is that's taking time, that's taking energy, you can better plan for it so that you're not pumping everything into that one thing. This is why we have to set timers. If you say you're going to be doing something for an hour, set it for an hour. And if you have to only go over 10 minutes before you stop. And I know sometimes we're like, I don't want to stop right here because I'm in a flow. Oh my goodness. This is an executive function skill. We have a hard time switching from one task to the next task because we're going to forget where we left off at. You can pause. Give yourself a voice note. Write some things down. Whatever it is that you need to do in order for you to say, I cannot give this one thing my whole entire energy for the week, or else I'm not going to have anything left for any of the other things that I have to do. None of the other stuff that I have to do. This is why we have to even put in our journals an energy management manager. And knowing exactly when to cut it off. Some of us are in a relationship with some of our projects that is very unhealthy. It's been taking up your whole day and all your time, and you have not been able to focus on working on or in your business because you're so focused on that one thing. Now, when you're done with that one thing, you're broke because you didn't even put anything out there in the atmosphere to make you money while you were working on that one thing. Okay, so ask yourself those questions. Number 4, decide what needs to be released. Some stuff don't need to move into the next week, and it's okay. Some projects you need to just wait on because you need to spend the week refilling yourself, and you need to release it without feeling guilty. It's okay to miss deadlines as long as you reset the goal marker so that you can reach it next time. Sometimes we put work on ourselves based on people and comparison things. There are times that I'll have an idea in my head and I'll see somebody do it and I'll get discouraged and I'm like, oh, it's because I pushed it out. No, I pushed it out so that I can show up with quality. And it's okay that multiple people are doing the same thing as long as you're not stealing their idea and copying. And people may say, oh, I think she did exactly what I did. They don't know if you had that idea first, second. It's just your execution took a little bit of time, maybe because you had other stuff on your plate. So I need for you guys right now to release the guilt and understand that deadlines can be missed at time as long as we reset it for a new date and stretch ourselves to be able to meet that guideline after we refill ourselves. I know the pressure can be on you. I know the expectation is that you can fix everything all at one time. But if you do that, you will mishandle the energy that you have, and there will be nothing else left to be able to show up in your authentic self. Then that's what people be like, "Ooh, I better go out there and fake it till I make it." Why do you have to fake it? You should have stopped and paused and refueled yourself so you don't have to fake it. So that you don't have to be out here bare. It is okay to say, I gotta step away for a second. It is okay to say, you know what? I slept in this morning. It is okay to say, you know what? I'm on vacation this week, or I'm away. I'm out of the office. Don't chase the dollar. The dollar will chase you when you stop and go down a direction at a pace where that money can chase you. There are opportunities that I miss out on. Why? Because I manage my energy, and some things I just can't say yes to. And sometimes I over yes it, and it drains me a little bit more than I expected, but then I build in time to refuel myself. You know what? I don't have nothing to do for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. I'm going to go in, I'm going to lay down, and I'm not giving anybody else any more of my energy until I'm fully rebooted and I can show up again. That's how I can come in front of people and be excited and be motivated at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I know when to fill this vehicle up. Somebody said something to me a while ago, because it was one of those things that it's like, oh my God, it's so hard to find people that'll pour into you, but you're constantly pouring into everybody else. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just hard. And she said, well, you have to find people to do so, because a plant can water itself. And when she said that, it almost took me out. And I looked around and I started looking at the plants in my front yard. I started looking at the trees, and I'm like, you are so right. They don't water themselves. They depend on the rain. They depend on us as humans to water themselves. Their roots to pull in nutrients and soil from the ground. So you need to root yourself somewhere in good soil, in nutrition rich soil where water can flow, so that your plant can continue to grow and blossom. See, we're not rooted in good places. We don't have situations around us where people can pour in and keep us fueled in water. That's why you have to intentionally seek out people who are willing to give you just as much as you're willing to give. Whether tapping in is a virtual situation, whether tapping in is a family or a friend, but you have to be rewarded, guys. You have to be refueled. So you have to really, really ask yourself, what do I need to release and attach myself to so that I can keep going, so that I can meet the next deadline, so that I can show up in my best self? Because it is your best self that's going to allow those doors to open up for you and those opportunities to open up for you, because people will be able to see the greatness that is inside of you. Okay? Before we even get into planning for your week this week, you're going to have to reboot yourself. Before you write out that to-do list, rest your mind. Clear your space. Review what's already on your calendar. Check what priorities you have. And ask yourself what actually matters this week. What is the real goal of this week? Sometimes we make those to-do lists and we're just like, check, 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 check. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You went down the checklist, but what results did you get? Well, I made some progress. But did your business make money? Did your business grow this week? Well, no, because I was working. Then you should have had a plan for that. But if you didn't, because you were so focused on that to-do list, focus on just getting things done, instead of clearing your mind, resetting, clearing your space, looking at your calendar, checking your priorities, You see, I have money on my board up here. It's like a little magnet and it has money on it. And I keep it in front of my eye because sometimes I forget that I'm a business. And I start giving and pouring and giving and pouring. And I'm like, oh my God, how much money did I make this week? I got to pay my team. I have to pay, rent for our places. I have to take care of my payroll for myself and my personal bills. All the things. And if your business is not generating cash, it's going to be hard to pay yourself. And when it becomes hard to pay yourself, that's when we give up on our business and feel like we have to return to that funding source. Then we start blaming the funding source on us not having enough energy to be able to pour into our own business. It's not their fault, it's your fault because you're mismanaging your energy. So before you even move on with the week, before you go forward, before that vehicle can go anywhere, you have to stop, reset your mind, take a beat, take a breath, clear your space around you, look at what's already there on the calendar, and then start adding things in. Because a lot of times we put things on our to-do list that overtake our priorities. And I don't care what anybody tell you. In a business, it is a priority that you bring in cash flow. This is not just motivation here. This is real life. And if you are not putting those things down, you're not going to know what to do with your week. And that leads us in, after you reboot, before you replan, you have to understand the importance of planning based on your capacity, not my capacity. Because my capacity moves a little bit different than most people. And not on a fantasy. A lot of us are fantasizing entrepreneurs and we think that we can do way more things than what our capacity allows us to do. You say, well, Carolyn, what about faith? What about, having a big dream? Yes, but we want a dream, but we don't want to live in a fantasy. There's no such thing as a perfect week. There is going to be things that is going to pull you away from the goals and the plan. And you cannot allow that to make you give up because that's just normal and natural. Plan a real week. Understand that there is going to be some turbulations, some trials and tribulations, some turbulence. That's the word I wanted to use, some turbulence that is going to come in your life sometimes. So look at your appointments. Look at your actual energy level. Look at your family responsibility. Look at the deadlines that you set for yourself. Look at your business goals. And then think about what is realistic for you to get done for the week. You see, a little bit of progress will get you to where you need to be so that you can get other things done besides that one thing. And here's the perfect example. Like, we moved into our new office about a year ago. It was in June. And we had a situation where we were combining offices because I knew that I wanted the business to look a little different. And at the time, it was all about where are we going to be able to safely and, secure our goods in a way that it doesn't cause any disruptions in the flow of business that we have. So we made some decisions about, moving our 2 warehouses. We had 3 offices. One office was for training and consulting. The other office was like our pop-up boutique, where our boutique store where people could come in and shop and try on clothes. And the other part was kind of like where we did our t-shirts and our merch and all of that kind of stuff. And so we got a notice that they were going to be switching switching managers, and they were going to be turning our office building into a co-working space, and it wasn't going to work for us. So mind you, we're in this space. We had 3 offices, and I want to say we had 2 storages over there where I kept all my training materials and supplies for whenever I do teacher workshops and whenever I do, entrepreneur workshops, because I love people to have hands-on experience. So we keep supplies so that when those workshops come up, we're prepared to go. We also had the boutique, the small boutique, but we had to have a place to store our back stock, and that was stored in 2 warehouses. Right, so we came to the decision. We said, moving into the next year, we're gonna have to consolidate. My vision was there. I knew exactly what I wanted to do in a space, and so I shopped for a space, and we found it. But at the time, we had to think about, okay, what can we do to combine everything together temporarily so that we can work towards the bigger picture. And so every day I would get frustrated because I could do a little bit at a time because I kept going. And I said to myself, I said, this is the real entrepreneur work, is being able to do a little bit of the time and seeing your progress. I wanted to open up in the next week. I wanted to open up in a month, but I had to be realistic and say, hey, you're using your classroom that you want to be a training center as a storage for clothing. And you can't move those clothing as of yet because the boutique is not ready to relaunch. So it was kind of like a bottlenecking effect of things. And so it wasn't until I paused and rebooted and actually planned a plan for a launch that was realistic that things started to come and happen. And guys, that was a year ago that we moved in, and I do have some before pictures that I'm going to be sharing the journey a little bit later, but we have finally got to a place where we're going to be able to open up our training center in the month of August. And it has been like, oh my God, I want to open up in June, I want to open up in July. But what I said was, I cannot build a fantasy deadline, because I know I can't be over there full-time working every day, because I have to show up for my clients that I currently have, and I cannot push them to the side to say, hey, let me focus on this project over here. And a lot of us don't know how to balance that, because our minds are living in a fantasy world that we can get everything done, and we can't. I finally can breathe and see, like, okay, now we're at a place that we can launch. And it's okay that it didn't happen at the beginning of the year. It is okay it's happening in the second half of the year, as long as it happens. Why? Because I had to look at the whole entire business and say, is this going to impede on me showing up and making the cash flow that I need to be able to take care of everything that I need to take care of? Hey, what does this plan look like? What does your day look like? When do you have that downtime? And how can you show up consistently and not allow this thing to make you think that you can just spend all day and all time on it? So when you are planning, you have to think about your capacity and not a fantasy. Yes, everybody's like, when is it going to open? When is it going to happen? When? Hey, it's coming. Now, in that time, did we probably lose client? Absolutely. Did we, maybe lose a little bit of income? Maybe so. But we didn't lose the big thing. We didn't lose the big goal, the big vision. We didn't begin living in a fantasy that everybody was going to show up at our doorstep if we just put all of our time in that. We lived in a reality that we had to keep businesses going to support that business so that we had time to set it up correctly. But say that for you again, because some of you guys are ready to come off that funding source. Some of you guys are ready to quit, but you can't do that yet. So you have to manage the things that you currently have and make time and energy for the things that you want to come to life, and not put so much time into that you start to lose the funding, lose the opportunities that you have that is fueling that thing that you want to come to fruition. That needs fuel too. And if you are not doing the things that need to happen in order to keep those things going, and you're just focused on that. Yes, I could have gotten to the boutique and into the store and spent all day for weeks upon weeks doing that. But what was going to fuel that? I was going to look up, and our rent and our building is going to be due, and I'll be like, oh, I spent much time setting it up that I forgot that I had to generate money to be able to pay it. A lot of us do that with software. We get 30 days free, and we spend so much time making it look perfect that when the 30 days come up and the money becomes due, we haven't made any money to pay it because we're so focused on building the thing instead of managing our energy in a way that is not a fantasy. That as soon as you build it, people are going to come running to it. Not unless you did some pre-sales, not unless you've been talking about that thing as you're building it. But a lot of us are so secretive. We don't want to let anybody know what we're building because somebody may steal it before we get it out. And that's not true. There are stores and buildings that are coming soon, and we pass by it. They don't care if somebody says, oh my God, it's a Target coming soon. You know what? I'm going to go build me another store down the street too. And I'm going to open up quicker than that one. They don't care. They don't care because they've already built anticipation and people know it's going to come. So they have time to make it look good, and they're probably making money because people are like, ooh, let me put this money back to the side because as soon as they open, I'm going to spend it with them. Stop thinking that the pre-launch is not necessary. Stop thinking that posting your process is not necessary, because it is, because it will allow people to find you so that when you do open your doors, you will actually have a customer. Guys, get out of this fantasy world that you have to make things perfect before you release it. Then we want to talk about people who make money just sitting on social media talking all day. At least they did something to be able to pull it in. We want to talk about the person who launched and had somewhat similar of our idea, and that thing was kind of raggedy, but they had to practice to make it perfect. We want to talk about that. At least they launched. At least they did it. Because doing it is what's paying the bills. And now they can work on the bigger thing that they wanted to do. So make sure we're not living in a fantasy. Choose the CEO priorities for your week. As a CEO, we're not just planning for our family. We're not just planning a to-do list. We're planning as a CEO, and we have to know what our priorities are. Instead of trying to push everything in that wagon forward, ask yourself, what is the one thing that will make you feel successful this week? You know what will make me feel successful this week? It's just putting away all the things from our back-to-back workshops and trainings from this past week. That will make me feel good. Unpacking all of my suitcases and doing my laundry will make me feel good. As a CEO, I need that space so that I can repack for my next trip. So what is one thing that is going to make you feel successful? What needs your leadership this week? What needs your leadership the most this week? What needs you to drive this week? What projects need you in that seat? What can wait? What is going to wait is reorganizing some t-shirts after a large t-shirt order. It's going to get built into the plan, but it's not something that's going to happen next week. What really needs support, systems, and sorry, guys, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes the words aren't going to come out. Simplification. What needs support, systems, and simplification? What needs that this week? Don't spend all your time making systems, though, because if you do that, you'll miss out on opportunities. But be building the systems as you are growing. A lot of times we think the system has to be put in place before we actually implement the system or use the system. But sometimes if you do it before you do things, you're going to end up rebuilding that thing anyway, because sometimes our mind thinks one way, but the actual flow of things happen another way. I try things, and when they break and they don't work, what I do is I just try it again and say, okay, you know what? Let me just fix this, because I built this thing with one thing in mind, but then when I actually got into motion, it was something different. And so a lot of us are sitting here, let me build my systems. Let me build this. Let me build that. Let me put this in place before I actually launch it. But how do you know that's going to make sense and work for you? You're telling yourself in your mind it's going to work that way. But when the floodgates open and things start to flood in, clients, customers, that thing may not work the way you thought it was going to work. So sometimes you have to build as you go. You have to build it. You have to create your automations and systems, but you have to do it as you go so that you know what makes sense. And I get so excited when I do things that way, because then I can say, oh, you know what? That didn't work quite right. Let me tweak that. But I keep on putting it out there and going. And I test it as I'm developing it, as opposed to saying, let me sit back and build everything out, because I don't want to show anybody my back office. I don't want to show anybody what's behind the curtain. I don't care. Maybe behind the curtain is something that's going to help you. Maybe behind the curtain is what's going to make you say, you know what, I want to be a part of that, because that took some time and work and energy to put in that. So what needs support in your business? What needs systems in your business? What needs to be made simple as possible? Because sometimes we create these elaborate things and it's like, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Kiss it. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, sweetie. That's what it kiss. I need to kiss some of your brains, because guess what? You're making things way more complicated than they should be. Okay? Then we're going to credit your refill list and your action list. Your refill list, yes, you need a refill list, should include getting you some rest, praying, meditating, walking, journaling, clearing up your space, sitting in meditation and quiet time. A lot of times we cannot complete things because our brain is too cluttered. So we have to sit in a place where we have to clear our mind. And then we can hear ourselves think. We can hear exactly what's next. But you can't right now because you're on overload and your brain has reached full capacity. You can't think no more. So quiet time, getting things organized in the right space, setting time for that. We usually have about 12 to 14 hours in a day to get things done. Not 24, because we have to sleep. About 12 to 14 hours. We have to use each and every hour productively. So I'm going to make time to journal, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'm going to make time to meditate. I'm going to make time to get my rest. Because if I don't write it down on my refill list, it's probably not going to get done. I also set timers in my phone. Hey, this is your refill time. Don't pass the gas station. Don't try to make it on E, because you're going to break down. So that's important. Then my action list, the things that I need to get done to move my business forward. I now have enough strength and energy to do those things because I did the things on my refill list. So have your action list and your refill list. And I want you guys to make that practice starting this week. What am I going to do this week to refill myself? Before I even take any action, what am I going to do? What gas station am I going to go to and plug in so that I can refill and recharge? Okay. So as you create those lists, ask yourself, what does a CEO in you need before the business gets another version of you? What does a CEO in you need before the business gets another version of you? What do you need? What do you need so that that version can be your best self? What do you need so that other version can show up and impact, touch, and assist and help people? You can't do that if you are drained. You cannot do that if you're running on empty. You have to sit down and refuel yourself. And you have to be okay with it. So as we recap, number one, when there's only you, you have to manage your energy differently. Number two, refilling is not wasting your time. Number three, understanding what has drained you in the last past week so we can identify it and solve that problem. Okay? Decide of those things that have been draining you, what needs to be released without feeling guilty. What deadlines need to change without feeling guilty. Before you can even plan for the week, you have to reboot. You have to get quiet so that you can look at what your priorities are. Look at what's on the list from the past week. Check your calendar, see what you have the capacity and room for. That way, number five, you can plan based on the capacity that you have left and not based on a fantasy that we have created as business owners. I love it when people, I can't wait to get off this job and just focus on my business. Okay, get off this job and focus on your business because money don't just flow in automatically, especially like I said, if you haven't done a pre-lunch. Do it while you're on the job so that when you walk away, you will have everything that you need in place to be able to pour into that business. Some of us need that funding source to refuel us to be able to have the financial stability that we need to be able to walk in that business. Because when you are a full-time entrepreneur, CEO, business owner, there is no income source like that you can tap into that you're going to be getting every 2 weeks. So we have to rejoice and be happy that we have it. And then when we move away from it, we can walk away with a plan that actually makes sense. So stop the fantasy. Walk in realness and understand what a full-time CEO does. Understand how they have to manage because they can't spend all their times creating, all their times making systems because they have to actually do things that's going to bring in income as well. And sometimes that looks like contracting yourself out. Sometimes that looks like serving other people. So you still have to show up in that capacity. You can't just be in the background all the time building. Otherwise, how is your business going to support itself? We have to look at what real entrepreneurship look like and not create that fantasy. Yes, people show you the glorious things on social media, but behind the scenes are some real life things going on, some real life maneuvering and organization and systems and things being created and made. You only see the outside. So don't compare and envy those people because you don't know what it took for them to get there. So stop living the fantasy and thinking what you see on social media is all the things. I got fired from my job. I left my job and I made this multi-million business. But what did it take? What did it look like? How many trials and errors? How many times were you not able to pay your rent? How many times were you not able to pay your car note and buy groceries because you were building that thing? Let's talk about the realness of that. As you're building this business, we have to look at our capacity, not other people's capacity and their world. Because then it becomes a fantasy and we'll never be able to pull through. Number 7, choose your CEO priorities for the week. What needs to happen as a CEO in your business this week? Create your refill list just like you create your action list. Make that refill list a priority. All right. And then as we do that, we can move into a week where we are rebooting, where we are refueling, where we are able to get things done without wearing ourselves out. And like I said, there are going to be times where you have weeks where it's like, oh my God, but you have to set yourself up for those weeks. Like I said, the last 2 weeks have pulled me like a rubber band. If I tell you some of the things that we had to prepare for. But if I didn't have things already working for me in the background, then I would have been super drained trying to generate money on top of showing up to all the places we had to show up this week, do all the things we had to do to prep for this week. If I hadn't stopped and rested, At one point, me and my mom, we were out of town. We had just finished an event. We finished the event. We went and ate, and I said, "Hey, when I get back to that hotel, I'm gonna lay down and I'm gonna sleep." And we got back. It was like maybe 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. And I walked in. I took off my shoes and I laid right across the bed, and that was it. Because I had to reboot. I could have felt guilty. Oh my goodness, I needed to do this, or I needed to call this person back, or this person text me and I didn't. No, my business hours were over. It was reboot time. And we have to have those boundaries and those limits as well. Why? Because you can't grow this business draining yourself and giving all of you away. You have to reserve some. You have to plan out that energy, distribute it the way it's supposed to be distributed. Otherwise, you will end up with not having that resource or that source of energy. You see, even food is rationed. Even gas is rationed, because if they give it all away at one time, they know that there will be nothing left. And we give it all away, and that's why we have nothing left to make the video, nothing left to go live, nothing left to create the content, nothing left to show up the way we need to show up. And this has to happen this week. All right, so let's get ourselves together and do our affirmation. I hope that this helps somebody this week. I hope this helped to refuel you. I hope that I was a water source for you to fill your cup so that you can go out and pour. That is the point of Plansational Sunday. I know as a CEO, you may not be able to find anyone who can fill your cup and pour water into your roots. In Plansational Sunday, I want that to be that for you. I want it to be something that allows you to refill all the things that was drained out from you from the week before. All right? So thank you so much for being a part of this Plansational Sunday. Again, if you're catching this on replay, #replay. Let's get into this affirmation. Repeat after me. I am the architect of my time. Yes, I hear you. You're the architect of your time. With every hour, I build my dreams. I want to hear you. With every hour, you build your dreams. My plans have purpose. I want to hear you. Your plans have purpose. My schedule has power. I want to hear you. Your schedule has power. I craft my life. I need you guys to say that with me. I craft my life. You're the one with the pen, baby. You're the one that gets to decide. And you do that with, repeat after me, one aligned decision, one bold move, one brilliant hour at a time. I think you need to say that one part in a full. I craft my life. One aligned decision, one bold move, one brilliant hour at a time. I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this Plansational Sunday. Make sure you refill, reboot, and re-energize yourself before you walk into the next week. And may your next week be just as amazing or even more amazing than any week that you've had this year. I am Dr. Carolyn Bobb-Green, and as always, I look forward to training you to succeed in your business. Have a nice Sunday.